Hello students, this is Kumar. In this session we will discuss about CBSE Class 10 History Chapter Nationalism in India. Let's begin. Let's start with understanding the impact of First World War on India. We all know that the First World War had a great impact on India, but why the First World War should have any impact on India? Because India did not take part in the First World War. But why the First World War had impact on India? We all know that it's because India was under the control of British and British took part in the First World War. Okay, so this First World War created a new political and economic situation in India, and apart from that, after this First World War, the Indian leaders developed a new modes of struggles. They adopted a new method of struggling against British. Okay, what made the people to adapt new methods, and why the First World War created new political and economic situation in India? Let's see this. As British participated in the First World War, it increased the defense expenditure for British. It was financed by the war loans. They have to repay the war loans. So what British did, British increased the taxes and custom duties in India, and also they introduced income taxes. Okay, and this is one important reason. And second one, during the war between 1914 to 18, the prices of the goods were doubled, so that led to the extreme hardship for the common people. Imagine if the price of the goods were doubled, how the common people would be able to buy it. Okay, it is a question for their survival. And next, the poverty is in one hand, and apart from this, the forced recruitment for the British army also created widespread anger among the people. Okay, in the villages of different parts of the country, the common people were forced to join British army and serve for British army. That created widespread anger among the people. And apart from this, during 1918 and 1920 to 21, there was an acute food shortage because of crop failure. And this crop failure and food shortage was accompanied by a famine, influenza epidemic. This food shortage and influenza epidemic perished thousands of lives in India. Okay, and all these things created widespread anger among the people and made the people to strongly protest against British. But still, the people believed that all these issues would come to an end after the First World War, but that continued even after the First World War. So the people adopted a new methods of struggling against British. So if any question is asked, explain the impact of First World War on India, and these are your answers. Okay, let's see how they adopt new modes of struggle against British and who lead the people. Okay, so here we will discuss about from 1920s. Okay, we call it as a Gandhian era. Okay, in this lesson we discuss about Gandhian era, how Gandhi returned from South Africa to India, and what are the methods he adapted, and what are the movements he organized, and how successful those movements were. Okay, first, Gandhiji returned from South Africa to India in 1915. Okay, after he returned to India in 1915, Gandhiji adopted different method of struggling against British, that is known as Satyagraha, non-violence. Okay, what is the idea of Satyagraha? This idea of Satyagraha emphasizes the power of truth and need to search for the truth. Okay, Satyagraha means it emphasizes the power of the truth and need to search for the truth. We should make the people to realize the truth. Okay, and the idea of Satyagraha also suggested that if the cause was true, and if the struggle was against injustice, then physical force was not necessary to fight the oppressor. What does it mean? If the reason was true, there must be a true reason, and the fight must be against injustice. If so, okay, if our reason is true and if your fight is against injustice, then we need not to involve in physical violence. We can defeat our oppressor, our enemy, with non-violence. This is the idea of Satyagraha. Gandhiji says that our oppressors means those who dominate us, those oppressors should not be forced to accept the truth. They should be made to realize the truth so that they will not repeat the mistake. Okay, so Gandhiji believed the dharma of Satyagraha could unite all Indians. So he adopted the Satyagraha. Let's see how successful his Satyagrahas were. In the beginning, Gandhiji organized three successful satyagrahas. Let's see this. In 1916, Gandhiji organized a satyagraha against the oppressive plantation system in Champaran, Bihar. Okay, in 1916, note it all of you, very important for 1 mark question as well as 3 mark question. Gandhiji organized a satyagraha in 1916 against the oppressive plantation system in Champaran. We also call it as Champaran Satyagraha. And 1917, Gandhiji organized another Satyagraha in Kedah district of Gujarat. Okay, this Satyagraha was for demanding relaxation of the revenue tax owing to the poverty experienced by the farmers. Okay, the farmers faced extreme hardship. They were not able to pay the revenue. So the people demanded for the relaxation of revenue. So Gandhiji supported those peasants for reducing the revenue. Okay, this is also known as Peasants Satyagraha. It was organized in 1917 in Kedah district of Gujarat. Okay, in 1918, Gandhiji organized another Satyagraha against the for the cotton mill workers in Ahmedabad. Okay, so the cotton mill workers were affected by a disease epidemic and they were demanding for increase of the wages. Okay, they are demanding to increase the wages. So Gandhiji supported the cotton mill workers in Ahmedabad 1918. So three satyagrahas: 1916 Champaran Satyagraha against the oppressive plantation system, second one 1917 Peasant Satyagraha in Kedah district demanding for the relaxation of revenue, and third one 1918 Ahmedabad Satyagraha for the cotton mill workers. These were the three successful satyagrahas organized by Mahatma Gandhi. Let's move forward. Rowlatt Act. Okay, Gandhiji was already had a good motivation and good courage because the previous three satyagrahas were successful. Following that, Gandhiji organized Rowlatt Satyagraha. Let's see why Rowlatt Satyagraha was organized. What was the reason? Okay. So in 1919, important for 1 mark question, the Rowlatt Act was passed by the British government. So the British government hurriedly passed the Rowlatt Act in 1919. What is this Rowlatt Act? This act is passed in the name of Sir Sidney Rowlatt, a British official. Okay, so this act gave enormous powers to the government to repress all the political activities, and it allowed the detention of political prisoners for 2 years without any trial. So according to this act, the British government can arrest any political leader and detain them for 2 years without any reason, without any legal notice. Okay, this was this act, and they can repress any political activities. They can stop any political activities in India. Why it was done? The struggle was going on. The people were protesting against British. They were organized many political activities. To suppress that, to stop those political activities, this Rowlatt Act was imposed. Okay, so a definition also would be asked: what is Rowlatt Act when it was imposed? Okay, next, how are Indians opposed this Rowlatt Act? On 6th April 1919, Gandhiji started the non-violent civil discipline movement for opposing the Rowlatt Act. Okay, it was started with a nationwide hartal. So on 6th April 1919, Gandhiji started the Rowlatt Satyagraha. How this Rowlatt Satyagraha was organized? All the shops were closed down, rallies were organized, railway workshops were closed, and all the workers joined and they went on strike. Okay, all the shops, railway workshops, every telephone, telegram offices, everything was being closed down, and all the workers joined in the Satyagraha. Okay, so because of this shutdown of all the shops, British communication and transportation was affected. So British has to suppress these Rowlatt Satyagraha. So what they did was, on 10th April 1919, there was a peaceful procession in Amritsar. Okay, there was a peaceful procession in Amritsar on 10th April 1919. On this day, the police of Amritsar fired upon the people. Okay, so around 20 people were died. Because of this, widespread anger was created among the people of Amritsar, and all the people started to attack all the banks, post office, railway station, whatever that symbolized British, everything was being attacked by the people. Okay, so how British responded for this? The British government brutally repressed the nationalists and they imposed martial law. Martial law means that the people should not gather in a group. Okay, more than two people should not gather in a group. They should not come out of the house unnecessarily. And who took the command of this martial law? General Dyer took the command of this martial law. Okay, and so many people in the village areas were not aware of this martial law. This was limited only to the cities. Okay, then let's see what happened further. So now the infamous Jallianwala Bagh massacre, which we consider as a black day in India, which happened on 13th April 1919. Okay, as I told, many people were not aware of the martial law. So many people were assembled in the Jallianwala Bagh garden for attending the annual Baisakhi festival. Many people from different parts of the villages of Amritsar, they were assembled in Jallianwala Bagh to see the Baisakhi festival, to celebrate the Baisakhi festival. And there were some other leaders organized, they met together to demand to release the political prisoners. So General Dyer got the information and he headed to the Jallianwala Bagh and he surrounded the park and opened the fire on the crowd. That continued for 10 to 15 minutes and hundreds and thousands of people were being killed and many were severely injured. Okay, this is the infamous Jallianwala Bagh massacre. And what were the result? What were the impact? What happened after the Jallianwala Bagh massacre? This created widespread anger among all the people in different parts, every corner of the country. This happened in North India, even it created a fire in South India too. Okay, and especially in North India, all the people took the streets. Like they started to attack all the government buildings, whatever symbolized British, everything was being started to be attacked. Okay, so they started to strike, they started to attack the police, but the British even brutally repressed. Okay, they started to humiliate and terrorize the people. The people were being flogged and villages were bombed, and the national leaders were forced to rub their nose on the floor and they were forced to crawl and cross the street. They were highly humiliated and they created the terror among the people. So as the movement was going more violent, Gandhiji decided to call off the Rowlatt Satyagraha, and Gandhiji called off the Rowlatt Satyagraha. So this is what the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. It would be asked for 5-mark question. Describe the infamous Jallianwala Bagh massacre. If it is asked for 5-mark question, you can write from the imposing of martial law. Okay. Now, the non-cooperation movement. So the non-cooperation movement began in January 1921 and so many groups, social groups participated in this movement. But in this non-cooperation movement, each social group had their own idea about Swaraj. Okay, the Swaraj meant different to the different groups. Okay, in 1920, in the Calcutta Congress session, Gandhiji started to convince the Congress to start non-cooperation movement. What is this non-cooperation movement? Non-cooperation means not cooperating with British. Gandhiji even stated this in his book Hind Swaraj. Okay, in his book Hind Swaraj, Gandhi said that British is ruling in India only with the cooperation of Indians. If we stop cooperating with British, within 1 year the British rule would collapse in India. So Gandhiji advises the people to start non-cooperation movement and he gives suggestions to start this non-cooperation movement, and he says that this movement should start with three stages. First one, surrendering of titles. Everyone should surrender the titles given by the British, like sir and knighthood, and different titles were given to different people of India for their achievements, and Gandhiji advised everyone to return their titles, and all the people return their titles. And second one, boycotting of all the civil services. We should not work under British, we should boycott, okay, all the civil services like army, police, and all the teachers and all the professionals, everyone should boycott it. Second stage. And third one, if British take any repressive measures, a full civil disobedient movement would be launched. Okay, so these were the three stages suggested by Gandhiji to start non-cooperation movement. Okay, finally in the December Nagpur Congress session, the non-cooperation movement was adopted. So the Congress decided to launch the non-cooperation Khilafat movement together. Okay, why did Gandhiji take up this Khilafat issue? Because after the Rowlatt Satyagraha, Gandhiji wanted to launch a nationwide movement. Okay, this can be done only by uniting Hindus and Muslims. If Hindus and Muslims are united, we can launch nationwide movement. So Gandhiji took up Khilafat issue. What is this Khilafat issue? As the First World War ended, okay, the First World War ended with the defeat of Emperor of Ottoman Turkey. So Ottoman Turkey was defeated, and there was a rumor spread out throughout the world that the Emperor of Ottoman Turkey, Khalifa, is going to be imposed with harsh treaties. Okay, Khalifa is the spiritual head of the entire Islamic world. Listen carefully. Khalifa is the spiritual head of Islamic world, and the rumors were spread that Khalifa is going to be imposed with harsh treaties. So all the Muslims from different parts of the country started to defend Khalifa. They wanted to protect their spiritual head, so they started to defend, support Khalifa. In India also, it started with Ali brothers. Okay, Ali brothers, Shaukat Ali and Muhammad Ali. Okay, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali joined together, and they formed a Khilafat committee in Bombay in 1919, and they approached Gandhiji for the support to Khilafat movement. So Gandhiji decided to join the Khilafat and non-cooperation movement together. So both Khilafat and non-cooperation movement was launched together in January 1921. Let's see how different groups of people participated in non-cooperation movement. Yeah. So first one, the movement started in the towns. Okay, so the non-cooperation movement started in the towns with the participation of middle class people. How the middle class people participated and what were their contribution? First, the students left all the government controlled schools and colleges. What were the schools that was under the British? All those students left the schools and colleges. Even the headmasters and teachers also resigned their jobs, and lawyers also gave up their legal practices. And all the council elections were boycotted in most of the provinces except Madras. Okay, students left the government schools and colleges, headmasters and teachers resigned their jobs, and lawyers gave up their legal practices, and council elections were boycotted except Madras province, and foreign goods were boycotted, liquor shops were picketed, they closed the liquor shops, and foreign clothes were burnt in huge bonfires. The traders were refused to trade with the foreign goods. Okay, so this is how the movement was started in the town. What was the effect of this? What was the impact of this? Because of this, the import of foreign cloth was halved. It has become half. Why? Because the Indians refused to buy the foreign cloths. Foreign goods were boycotted. So because of this, the import of foreign cloth have halved, and its value dropped from 102 crores to 57 crores. Okay, and all the merchants and traders refused to trade in foreign goods or finance the foreign trade. and production of Indian textiles and mills and handlooms were went up. For how Indian textiles and handlooms went up? Because we refused British goods, started using Indian cloths. So Indian textiles had been developed, but there also we had a problem. What was that? Khadi was more expensive than the machine made goods of machine made cloths of British. So the people, the common people, were not able to afford to buy the khadi, so they started to buy the machine made goods of British. And there was no any alternative Indian education institutions, they were very slow to come up. So the students and teachers, those who have resigned their jobs, they rejoin to schools and colleges. Even the lawyers also joined back to their legal practices. Okay, so finally it ended with failure. Okay, let's summarize this. The students left the government controlled schools and colleges, headmasters, teachers also resigned, lawyers gave up their legal practices, council elections were boycotted, and foreign goods were boycotted, liquor shops were picketed, and foreign clothes were burnt in a huge bonfire. Okay, and because of this the import of foreign cloth have halved and the value dropped from 102 crores to 57 crores, and Indian textiles and handlooms were went up. But as khadi was very expensive, the common people were not able to afford to buy khadi, so they started to use the cheap machine made cloths of British. And there was no Indian educational system, it was very slow to come up, so all the students and teachers joined back to their schools and colleges, and the lawyers also joined back to their legal practices. Okay, this was not much successful. Now see the rebellion in the countryside. This was in the town, and how the movement started in the countryside. Okay, it's about a village Awadh in Uttar Pradesh. Okay, what was the problem in Awadh? And the problem was between the peasants and the landlords. Okay, so here the peasants had to do beggar and work without pay in the farms of oppressive landlords. Here the problem was for the problem was for peasants, and it was against the landlords. Okay, so the peasants had to do beggar means doing the work without any payment. Okay, the wages will not be given, the work people would be forced to work for free, that is beggar. So here peasants were forced to do beggar, and they were demanded to pay high taxes by talukdars. So here the fight is against the landlords and the talukdars. The landlords made the people to do beggar, and the talukdars demanded for the high taxes. So here the demand of the peasants were reduction of revenue, abolition of beggar, and social boycott of oppressive landlords. Okay, so how the people started their movement? The people organized Nai Dobi Bandh. Nai Dobi Bandh. Nai Dobi Bandh means no barber and washerman service to the landlords. Okay, Nai means the barber and Dobi means washerman. So Nai Dobi Bandh, which means the barber and washerman service will not be provided to the landlords. This is how they started, and even Jawaharlal Nehru, he toured many different the villages around Awadh, and they collected the grievances of the people, and they formed Awadh Kishan Sabha. Okay, in Awadh they formed Awadh Kishan Sabha. Jawaharlal Nehru, Baba Ramchandra. The both leaders joined together. This Awadh movement was led by Baba Ramchandra. So Jawaharlal Nehru and Baba Ramchandra joined together, and they formed Awadh Kishan Sabha. And within a month, 300 branches were started in and around the villages. Okay. Yeah. And so Congress had decided to add this Awadh movement along with the non-cooperation movement, but they left the choice because the people in Awadh involved in violence. As we know, Congress is completely following non-violence. The people were involved in violence because the peasants or the people in Awadh, they attacked the houses of the talukdars and the landlords, and even the bazaars were looted, and the hoarded grains were taken by the people. So as they involved in violence, Congress did not take up the Awadh movement along with the non-cooperation movement. Okay, so this is how the non-cooperation movement started in towns and countryside. In the next part, we will discuss about the more participation of different social groups in the non-cooperation movement. Okay, let's once again summarize the beginning of non-cooperation movement. See, these were the three stages suggested by Gandhiji. First, surrendering of all the government titles and boycotting of all the civil services like army, police, court and legislative councils, school and foreign goods. All these things should be boycotted. And if the British government used repression, a full civil disobedience campaign would be launched. These were the three different stages suggested by Gandhiji to start the non-cooperation movement. But in the beginning, few Congress members were not in the support of idea of boycotting the council elections because they felt that if they are in the power, they can bring some changes in the system. Okay, so they wanted to take part in the council elections, and finally Gandhiji was successful in convincing all the Congress members to start or launch non-cooperation movement in the Nagpur Congress session in December. Okay, so these 2 years you should remember. In 1921 Calcutta Congress session, Gandhi started convincing the people, and the non-cooperation movement was adopted in Nagpur Congress session in December. Okay, thank you students. Let's discuss about the more participation of different social groups in non-cooperation movement and other topics of nationalism in India in the next video. Thank you all.